In this lecture we'll talk about electric flux. Okay, so first of all, what is meant by flux? Forget about electric flux. First we will see what is just flux. Okay, so basically it means nothing but the flow rate through any area. Okay, so for example, if you take a window, okay, and you say, let's say there is some air passing perpendicular to this window, okay, with a velocity v. Okay, then what will be the volume flowing through this window per unit time? It is going to be v into a, right? V is meter per second and area is meter square. So you are going to get the resultant meter cube per second. That is nothing but volume per unit time. Okay, so that is the flow rate of the air through this particular area. Okay, now let us say the same window, but now the air is flowing in a direction which is parallel to the plane. Okay, in this case, will there be any volume flowing through the window? No, there won't be any volume flowing. So in that case, it is simply the volume flow rate is simply 0. Okay, this shows that not only is it depending on the velocity and the area, but also on the direction. Okay, now here we have taken air, the example of air, but it can be some fluid as well. Okay, so whatever be the material that is passing through, we take the flux to be the dot product of velocity and the area, v dot a. Okay, so that it is going to give you v into a into cos theta, where theta is the angle between v bar and a bar, right? That is the meaning of dot product, the product of magnitude into the cos of angle between the two vectors. Okay, so you can see here that in the first case what is happening? The velocity vector is perpendicular to the plane, or we can say it is perpendicular to the normal vector. Okay, so we always take the normal vector. So the normal vector will be perpendicular to the plane. Okay, so in that case theta is going to be 0. So we simply got the product of velocity and area. In the second case, what happened? The normal was perpendicular, so it is perpendicular to the plane, so it is perpendicular to the air also, the direction of the air. Okay, so we got 0. That is because when you substitute theta is equal to 0 here, you are going to get the dot product as 0. Okay, so that is how the flux is defined in general. Now here we are assuming that the velocity is uniform all through the area, right? But it is not always the case. So the velocity may be different at this point, it may be different at this corner. When it is different at different points, okay, so it is more appropriate to write the flux to be integral of v bar dot d a bar, or you can also write v bar dot a n bar into d a. Okay, so this a n bar is nothing but the unit normal vector to the surface. Okay, so this is how in general you represent the flux when the vector is not uniform throughout the area. Now we will talk about electric flux. Okay, so electric flux, what happens? We have something called the electric field lines, right? We talked about electric field lines. Now what we are interested when we talk about flux is how many number of field lines are passing through a certain surface. That is what we have to take as the flux. Okay, but what happens? This electric field this is dependent on the medium in which the charges are present. So this is not what we want. It should be independent of the medium. Okay. So we take a new vector d bar, so that this should be independent of medium. Okay, so what is the dependence on medium? Just merely means that if you see the expression of E bar, right, what was E bar? This was Q by 4 pi epsilon naught, or epsilon you can take, R square into AR bar, right, or AR cap, to indicate a unit vector. Okay, so we can see here that there is epsilon. Epsilon is depending on the medium. Depending on the medium in which we place the charge, epsilon is going to have different values. So that is why E bar is said to be dependent on medium. Okay, so we need a new vector which should be independent of the medium. So then what do we take? We take d bar is equal to epsilon E bar. Okay, in this way it will simply, it was there in the denominator epsilon, so we multiply the electric field by epsilon and we get a vector d bar. Okay, now the electric flux is described in terms of this new vector d bar instead of E bar. Okay, it should be E bar, but since it is dependent on the medium, we want it to be independent of medium. We took a new vector, and using this we are going to define something called the flux. So the electric flux, which is denoted by psi, this is equal to integral d bar dot ds bar. So ds is the elementary surface area that we take. Okay, so we are interested in a surface S. Okay, so the surface can be any surface. Okay, so if you take an elementary area, that is going to be ds, and this is everywhere. The normal is also going to be different. So here normal may be in this direction, normal may be in this direction. Okay, so the normal direction will also vary. So we write the flux as integral d bar dot ds. Now we need to know two things: what is d bar called and what is the unit of d bar. Okay, so this flux unit, it is usually measured in coulombs. Okay, because one electric field line, it is taken to be starting from 1 coulomb and ending at -1 coulomb. Okay, so this is 1 coulomb and it ends at -1 coulomb. Okay, so one electric field line is taken to be like this. Okay, so that is why the flux is measured in terms of coulombs, because one electric field line is associated with 1 coulomb. Okay, so when psi is measured in coulombs, on the left hand side we have coulombs, and this is equal to the unit of d bar we have to find out, and ds is nothing but area, so it is meter square. So you can see that the unit of vector d bar is going to be coulomb per meter square. Okay, and for this reason, because we are taking it per unit area, d bar is called as electric flux density. Another commonly used name is, for the same d vector, another name is electric displacement. Okay, so both of them mean one and the same, which is nothing but d bar.